All right, welcome back. Got a little bonus feature for you. We talked about, or Frank talked about, I didn't talk about anything. I just been listening. Frank talked about the gig out in Oregon, and there's a lot. There's so much that we couldn't do in part one, so we decided to give you a bonus feature, and let's pick that up right now. All right, Frank, you mentioned this Oregon show and when you were out there. Just break that down a little bit because that was a big deal and that lasted for a long time.
Yeah. So that was the World Athletic Championships, as I mentioned before, which I didn't even really know what to expect or like what it really was. I just knew it was like a big show because there was like, I don't know, 20 of us, just robo-ops or techs going out there. So that's just a big crew of just us. Not to mention it's the world. So there's people from all over the world that are coming in and doing the show, competing in it, watching it. It's just it basically took over the entire city of Eugene, Oregon, which is like I don't know, is that where track was started? Or it's just like the most famous place at the University of Oregon. But yeah, so that was for Fletcher, and we had, I'm trying to think of how many actual robos we built because they were it's funny, we had, like I said, it's probably about 15 to 20 of us ops and techs, but then we were almost split into two of our own crews because there were like the actual physical operated robos that we had to build, which we had two. I'll start from the top down. I'll go from the far side of the track, and this is just me remembering where stuff was. We had to figure out how to mount two of these like kind of PTZs that were used as beauties. I forget the actual name of what they were called, but they were used as like beauty shots of just the landscape. But we built them at the top of this huge tower on the opposite side of the track from where like the truck compound was. So just figuring out like just how to build a mount and going up there, looking at it, then looking at like what speed rail and like different mounts and clamps and all this that we have, and then just kind of like going through that with me and this other guy, trying to figure out, okay, like we can use this rail and mount to that and blah blah blah. We're drilling holes in like steel plates to mount the camera to it, and then put it on these other things, and then strapping stuff. So it's they were going to be up there for 25 days. For like this whole time. And we had to get those up first because then we had no access to the tower. Then we were building another robo mounted at like the starting line for the like 100 yard dash or 400s, whatever, wherever they start for that part of that competition. And that was what I've mentioned before about like the Stanton heads robos, like very similar to that, but it was a full size camera that was mounted on there. Then we had in like the pit, I guess, like the grass part of the infield, where like they do like the discus throw, where they do the javelin, shot put, all of that, the long jump, the high jump, and like all the other track and field stuff. We had two, again, like the Stanton heads, but like on these little hi-hats that sat on the ground. I say hi-hat, you would think it would be high in the air, but it's like basically a wood, like, I can't even think of the word. Like a
platform?
Flat piece. Yeah, like a small wood platform that literally sat on the ground, and then you build the camera on top of that, and that's like a really low shot looking up as like the runners running by you to go do like their long jump. Then we had these other ones that I had never built before, which was fun to be around, but they had basically a hard camera, like a huge box lens that you would see people actually operating, standing behind these big cameras. We built those on these gizmo mounts, which is what they were called, and which those are cool because they're basically you build a hard camera, but you don't stand behind them and operate them. They didn't want people. They didn't, and that was like coming from wherever it was coming from. They didn't want people there. They didn't mind the camera being there, but they didn't want people on the infield, I guess, operating these cameras. So Fletcher has this thing that they built called the pan bar system, which was, people that came from doing like hard camera, like, a traditional camera like this, moving back and forth. You have your hands actually on the arms, and you have your zoom controls and all that on there, but your the arms are connected to a tripod that just has a monitor, and you're in a room with us, with the RoboOps. So you're seeing, and you're moving it. You're not using a joystick and like a control panel like I use. You're using it as a hard camera, and it's moving out there
That's
on
nuts.
the field. So we had, I think 3 of those for like different various events, all in the infield.
Is there a lag time? I mean,
No, not really. No.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild so you can, some people prefer to do that, but I can also, because of I could have used that for what I was doing, because the other heads were these Peapod. I guess they're Peapod gizmos. I think that's what the brand is, Peapod. Like that's the mount, but then like the actual specific thing was the gizmo that some people were using the pan bar system. I just wanted to use the controller because I'm more used to that, which like nobody else was really doing. I felt more comfortable doing that. Like I don't do hard camera. I rarely do. Pretty much never. So I used that, and I was on like the shot put. So I'm shooting shot put, which I've never shot before, but like whatever. They're throwing a giant like metal ball. I don't even what is it? I don't even know what it's made of.
I don't know.
Ceramic.
No, it's not ceramic.
Yeah, but into a pit. So yeah, they had those, and then we had one more like mini Stanton mount. This was the toughest thing we had to build because there's this huge, like the big like net that's around where the discus is thrown, like that little platform that they spin around in, and then they throw like the discus and all that. There's a net around it, around the guys actually throwing it, guys or girls, whatever. Because if they throw it, they might throw it into the net. So there's this huge thing, and they wanted a overhead shot of that. So we had to, but like I have pictures because there's really no way to explain how this thing is, but like basically if the thing is down here, this net came down this way to like collapse, because when the other events were going on, they didn't want that huge thing in there, so it collapsed flat. So we had to build this mount basically up here to look down that way. But when it collapsed, we had to build it correctly, so like it came down the right way, and then it was able to just fold down, and it didn't crush the camera. But that went up and down like every, I don't know, a few times, like sometimes during the middle of the day, or it was down, and it was just depending on the schedule of when these events were happening. So yeah, we had to build all those things, and then there was the other crew, which was like the Pico crew, which are these 4K like, more like POV cameras, but they're like full frame cameras, and they look incredible. So like that was more the like the London crew. They were a part of that, which was Ollie, who I've mentioned on a few of these things in the past, and then his 2 guys who I worked the US Open with. They come out for that, and then I was in Tokyo with Ollie. And they had like 15 of those throughout. Like they built them in like the sand pit. So like they're basically, they're this big, they're small, but they're these 4K cameras, but they required a lot of like not like constant maintenance, but like they had to pay attention. So no one's like operating them. They just get them, and they have to place them in perfect positions, like at the starting line. So like when the I keep going to say players, the athletes, like when they go down to start, you can see like down the whole thing, and it's not a obtrusive camera, like, and then the other ones was like buried in the sand, so like the long jumpers are jumping over it. I mean, like some of the shots that these things were getting were incredible, but like, so there was like those 2 crews, and then in our control room, basically, just the robo control room. That's just like monitors and different controllers and different things going on. And like, we're all on with different directors because it's people that are like, the same director that's doing shot put is not doing track. And then the same track, person is not the same one that's doing the javelin throw. So we all kind of had different schedules throughout the day and just had to like pay attention to when our event was up. And I was also doing the starting line robo for track, but I was also doing the shot put one, which sometimes they were happening at the same time.
And then?
So I would just roll my chair over, like frame up and like be paying attention to kind of both of them, or tell the director of the track like, hey, I can't do this right now. I'm in the middle of doing like the championships for shot put, and I can't get off the controller. Or I would just, my controllers I had right next to each other, so I'm just rolling from one to the other and just paying attention and listening in my headset to two different directors.
Which in itself is, again, people who don't do this or live this is not easy. For all of us, just being able to sort out multiple voices and commands constantly is an art to itself. But having two directors, that's even harder because you're their hands, and they know what they want to see, and you have to execute it. So doing two of them simultaneously is tough.
Yeah, and then you got to also think about like, because they can only see what the cameras can see, right?
Right.
And then it's not like I'm out there.
Right.
I can only see what my camera can see.
Right.
Or what they put on program. Like, it's not like I can like look over my camera and see like what else is going on.
Right. And just again, people who don't know, when you're out and you're covering any event, well, if you're on a hard cam and you're in the event, whether it's a concert or whether it's a play or whether it's sporting events, you help the director. Because the director will ask, or if not you, he'll ask stage manager or somebody, hey, what's the crowd doing? Hey, what's that look like over in the corner? Hey, blah, blah. Because he's got to get a sense, because as Frank said, they're not anywhere near the event.
Yeah. And sometimes for that, like, it was, like, sometimes they would stop our play, right? Like, if we were doing, like, shot put or whatever, anything going on in the infield, there'd be like there's multiple events going on at the same time, but there's a track surrounding the infield that has a bunch of things going on, and then like all of a sudden like the shot put would just stop, and we're like, she's like, what? Our director, I forget her name, but and she's like what's going on? Like why are they not like playing? And everyone's just kind of standing around, and then you hear like a gunshot, and then you see in the background of one of my cameras, you see runners go by around the track, and I'm like, oh, they stopped all the infield things to wait for the gun to go off. And that was happening constantly. And then, like, it's just, that was the first time I was doing, like, a track event. So it was just chaos. There's just stuff going on constantly. And everyone's on different shows. And there's a million different directors. And everyone's pulling different feeds for different stuff. And yeah.
What was the length of the days? Because you were there for a solid month. What was your typical work days? 8, 10?
Yeah. Never 8. At the very least 10. Most likely, probably more than that. Probably closer to like 12.
Yeah.
13. I also got like extremely sick out there for like 3 days before the show started. Like on our build days. Like I've never not COVID sick, and like I got tested for it, and like I tried to like muscle through it, and then at one point I was just like, I told Sion, the guy we were with, I was like, dude, I can't even like open my eyes. My head was hurting so bad, and like I was just, I don't know. So it turned out I had some like crazy reaction to like the allergies that are out there, because like the pollen, I guess, is like the highest pollen count in the country, in the world,
right?
In that specific part of Oregon, and I was like, I don't even have allergies, but they knocked me out. Like I had to not go to work one day, which like I was not really okay with, because you're a part of a team that's there, and like if me not going, then I'm like, damn, like I never wanted to even come out of a play when in like high school, a play of like football or baseball. I didn't want to not be on the field at any point,
right?
Because I feel like I'm not contributing, and I'm like letting down whoever I'm with. So like doing that is just, it's the same mentality.
All right, so that you just punctuated. Unless you have anything else technically to add to what you've done, I'm going to say this is done. And I'm just going to remind everybody that there are part 1 and part 2 that we've done. This is just kind of a deep dive bonus because it's such a cool gig and it's so unique and there was so much going on. So we decided to just jump off and do this. So Frank, thanks again. Appreciate the insights and the information. And there's tons that you just went into that could go on and on and on and on. But unfortunately, we don't have that kind of time. So thank you. Ciao.
Part 2.